Yes, guys, welcome back to the Once You're In podcast. This is now episode 86.
I think it's 86.
And this is the second episode in the studio. Sorry if the lighting's different and the camera's a bit different. We're still playing around with optimizing the setup of the studio. So I do apologise if it's not fantastic yet, but it will be fantastic soon.
The lighting wasn't planned. Basically, we stole Pete, so videographer who helped us set up. We stole his tripod with a light, and the battery we somehow managed to die. So the main light's on, but to be fair, I actually thought the lighting looked okay. So what we could say is, what do you guys prefer? Do you guys prefer the first pilot episode lighting with a little bit of a darker, mysterious sort of Mate, we can't swear.
Is sexist swearing?
I don't know. Anyway, what do you prefer? Intercourse Dungeon or a little bit more light, bright, sort of positive, happy vibes on a Thursday?
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, let us know in the comments. A poll on Spotify.
I did one the other day, didn't I? We'll do another one.
Yeah.
Speaking of Spotify, mate, do you want to tell us about the ratings? Do you want to tell us how they've gone up?
We've got 2 more.
And we haven't even uploaded that episode.
Yeah, so technically we've got 2 ratings.
Without saying it.
Yeah, we've only uploaded 1 recently.
I don't even think we spoke about them in that one.
No, and we didn't speak about it.
It was a short episode, so apologies for that.
We just did a filler episode. So, yeah, we're into it. Now, I'm not too sure when we're going to be filming next week, because you're away, aren't you, on Thursday?
We'll film on Wednesday. It'll be fine. We'll film Wednesday, and it'll be... You won't even know I've gone away, guys. It'll be the same.
Do you want to touch about that? Do you want to go ahead?
Started on that speaker pilot last week.
I think we did a pilot, didn't we? So, yeah. Where you going?
Maybe we spoke about it in the filler episode.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, if you want to give an update, mate.
Yeah, guys, I'm going to Morocco.
With who?
With my girlfriend, Shannon.
No, I was waiting for Hakimi, Ziyech.
I'm not going with them. I'm going to see them.
Oh, you're going to see them.
I'm going to meet Hakimi and Ziyech.
Yeah.
The boys. Amrabat, I'm meeting him for a drink, I think, at some point.
Of course.
A drink. And the manager, whatever his name is, his 5 minutes of fame. So yeah, I'm going to Morocco for a week. Basically the final week before I start prep. But I do think I mentioned this before, either in one of the Zoom episodes or last week's pilot kind of episode. But yeah, it's basically the final week before prep, but I know that my body weight will very likely drop throughout that week because I won't be eating anywhere near as much as I am now. So I'll probably come back a few pounds.
Mate, it's an all-inclusive.
Yeah, I'm never going in. No, I'll never go in, mate. I can't go in. I'm a bodybuilder. I'm a BB. Can't go in. But yeah, like obviously in terms of like total food and especially total food volume, like it will definitely be lower. So I will likely come back a little bit lighter, which is perfect really for the start of a prep. Come back like fresh physically and mentally off the back of the deload, off the back of the holiday, and then ready to drop the hammer.
No, but mate, your prep's so long, so you're not really dropping that.
Oh, I'm dropping that hammer hard.
What, even from day one?
From day one, you got to be aggressive from the start.
Yeah, this is the difference. A natty prep's like, how many weeks is it to the first show? What's the prep going to be looking like for the first show?
I will check and tell you, mate.
Do you know a rough idea? Surely it's like...
Yeah, it's like 22 weeks, I think, from the first show.
22 weeks was my prep, like, last time. That was, like... I feel like in enhanced and natural preps, there's going to be a lot of similarities, but I definitely think like there's going to be a greater... Giving yourself more time is never going to be a bad idea. So 22 weeks was... 22 weeks was the duration of my first prep, from pretty much from the get-go to the start.
Speaking of your first prep, what have you got down there?
Speaking of my first prep... Oh, yeah. They can't really see. I probably should do a bit of an intro.
Sorry, guys. Just had some technical issues. We're still getting to grips with the new studio. We did say this. One of the cameras has just died, and we didn't charge the cameras, or Reece didn't charge the cameras, because it's not my responsibility, because this is 1 minute away from Reece's house, 40 minutes from where I live, so... Anyway,
hang about.
We don't know if we got onto...
It's awful. Finn hasn't charged his camera either. He just brought us back a spec.
Because the camera was here, so how am I going to charge it?
Why didn't you take the camera home?
Because I said there's no point taking them.
And did you remind me, Reece, can you charge the cameras? No, you didn't say anything.
But it's not hard to...
That's awful. That's horrendous.
I brought...
Right, anyway, Morocco. You go to Morocco.
You do need to remember to charge. Okay. I'm going to Morocco. We don't know if this was in the other part. Well, it was definitely on one of the videos, so we should be fine. So I'm going to Morocco. I'm going with Shannon. I'm going to see Hakimi and Ziyech and all them, and we've already said this, but obviously you might not have seen this. Sam will edit it up for us, so shout out to Sam for making our life a lot easier. We appreciate you, mate. And for listening to all the audio in the background, because the audio is still running while we're trying to walk around and sort out the camera. So, yeah, I'm going on holiday, and then it's the week before prep, and then prep starts the day that I get back. So, yeah, I don't really need to go into that much more. Reece did ask me on the other part about how long, or at least how long from the first show the prep is. The starter prep is 22 weeks, mate.
And you start prep on the 24th or 21st?
It is the 24th.
24th. So 24th, and then your first projected show is when? Back end of August?
Yeah, it's the 26th.
Back end of August, and then he'll do the middle of September, and then he won't qualify for finals, and then the prep will be done, and he'll realise, God, not actually.
Need to stop.
Better. Yeah, he needs to stop. Well, to be fair, it's quite funny. My prep could be done by May.
Yeah, it won't be.
Yeah, it won't.
It'll just go on.
No, mate.
On and on and on.
And then I'll just be dragging myself, and I'll be oh God,
10 years down the line, still not out there.
Yeah, it'll be really bad, and I'll just be
It happens.
yeah, it does. It happens to a lot of people.
It happens.
Right. Anyway, Finn actually last time he segued me perfectly to show a few things that we brought as ornaments, or a bit of decoration, but we didn't really know a place to put them. So we have the PCA overall sword. We have, and I said this again, I feel like I don't want to use the same joke, but UKDFBA third place. Unfortunately, this isn't mine. This is Finn's from his only ever show he did, which is, again, I think most people, I've said this before, people speak to us like we're seasoned competitors. Where Finn's done one show, and that is it. And you were on stage for 5 minutes.
Couldn't help it, could I? It's COVID.
Yeah, you could have carried on though, mate. You could have easily, but you went to Five Guys that night. Where did you go after when you found out?
Red Dog Saloon, I think it's called.
Did you get a burger? Yeah, then we out for food the following night.
No, mate, it was lockdown. Everywhere was closed. That's why we went out for food, because we wouldn't have been able to go out again.
Yeah, fair enough. And then we also got the PCA again, first place. This was the class win, and this is, I like this medal. This is a cool medal. And again, I'm saying,
was horrendous. Out of
class. To be fair, no, Connor was alright. The guy finished second. He was alright. Mate, don't say he listens to the podcasts.
I'd have won that class.
What if I wasn't in there, or even if I was in there?
I don't even you in there.
No, Connor was alright. To be fair.
Yeah, I'm joking, Connor. I don't remember.
Yeah. But the other people weren't the
I remember it being a pretty poor standard.
I remember walking out, and it was I think Sanaya was oh my God, well done, and I was like, if I didn't win that, it would have been serious questions. The class was, it wasn't even really a thing. We literally was right, how's the overall? And then Finn was there's a big dude, and there's a good black dude who's in real good shape. So yeah, I ended up beating him. And I got this. This was also a class win. Yeah, I beat him. This is awful. Whoever competes for the PCA, this is such a poor trophy, in my opinion. I really, really think this is just incredibly, incredibly average. It looks bronze. It's chipped. I remember just getting this, and I was like, yeah.
Apologies to anyone at PCA listening.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And I do like the PCA. I like what they stand for. I like how they judge. I like a lot about the PCA, but I'm just not a massive fan of their first place trophies.
I don't know if my audio is working.
It is, mate. You're a little bit of a hypochondriac when it comes to stuff like this. You worry a bit. You just talked in your mic.
I know, but I feel like it's quieter than yours, whereas last week it was the other way round.
Ah, well, we should be okay.
Hope everyone can hear me.
We should be fine. And if not,
it won't be much different because you don't shut up. Oh,
stop swearing. Stop swearing.
Sorry.
So yeah, you're going on holiday next week. You've got a few more sessions. I'm currently deloading. I say currently deloading. It's a rest day. It's Thursday. I usually have this as a rest day. So I'm not technically deloading yet, but the deload has started. I'm having 4 days worth of rest. I planned this in at the start of prep. I had this penciled in. And I put an Instagram post about it. I didn't really go into too much detail because it's always quite hard to properly say it without sounding not stuck up. But I'm not a massive fan of planned deloads. I really am not. I don't like them that much in the vast majority of phases. I think we've always been very much a case of you just go by feel. If you feel really good, are you just going to pull back? No, you're going to carry on. But I do think in a prep, granted, it can definitely be swayed a week forward, a week advance. But it's not like I'm 16 weeks out. If anything, fatigue's inevitable. So in 4 or 5 weeks from now, I'm probably going to be pretty smashed. But it kind of makes sense to have a little bit of not foot off the gas, because if anything, I'd argue the rate of loss is probably going to be more aggressive, less food, more expenditure, output, etc. Everything's going to be in a sense pushed up. So it's not going to be where fatigue's going to drop off directly based off the fact that I will probably pull off a good kilo or maybe more. Probably it wouldn't surprise me if it's 1.5 to 2 kilos within the next few days. However, at the same time, it's one of those where just based off training, joint, like just general information of training, that'll drop off. So yeah, currently 1 day into a 4-day deload. I'll probably assess next week when it comes to devolume sessions for Monday and Tuesday session, and then potentially Wednesdays, just based off feel. And then it will be, as you said, mate, foot on the gas. Be foot on the gas one, then that'll be the last time
dropping the hammer.
Yeah. To be fair, though, the hammer's already been dropped. Like Sanaya, I was speaking to Sanaya, she was asking me about how much weight I've lost, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm about like 13 kilos down. She was like, how much is that? And I was like, 30 pounds in like 6.5, 7 weeks. But I don't feel like that's that much, because it's not. Relative to when you start off and you're not, I wasn't fat, but I really wasn't 118 kilos. I was soft. I was off season, but I wasn't stupidly fat. No, I was in a good spot to start a prep. But you can be very responsive. Like the first 4 to 5 kilos come off like instantaneous, and I also did go away. So like I started my pullback at the 1st of Jan. So technically, like my prep began 1st of Jan. Got absolutely hammered New Year's. Got absolutely hammered for New Year's. Woke up on New Year's Day. I was like, New Year, new me.
And then after that, your birthday.
But that was before, mate.
Nah, your birthday was before, but we went to Liverpool.
You
got hammered in Liverpool.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, start a pullback, get hammered, go away, do 25,000 steps a day in Canada, come back, you're already a good couple of kilos down, and then you actually think, you know what? Now I'm going to try. Now I'm actually going to stick to my diet.
Soon enough, I'm going to actually have to start trying. I don't know if I can do it. Put that one on my post. My audio is definitely quieter. I'm going to have to start talking like this.
Mate, you'll be fine. And if not, I'm pretty sure Sam can probably autocorrect it afterwards.
Okay.
So
I hope you can do that.
Yes. You know what we're going to do? I'm going to do this.
Yeah, I think we're on. I think we're okay. Cool. Reece just closed the laptop, so the audio stopped. So we're back. We're back on there. Sam, you've got your work cut out in this episode, mate. We do apologise.
Yeah.
Right, Reece has rambled on about his prep and where he is. So I'm not going to ramble on and tell you about my prep, because we kind of did that in the pilot episode when we explained who we are and what the crack is and everything like that. This week, is there anything else to update people upon? And training?
I mean, we trained at Rotherham on Monday, and then we filmed our first session with Sam. So that was for my YouTube channel. I think it might be out by the time this comes out. If it's next Monday, depends how quick Sam's turnaround is. So it might be out. So if you're watching this on YouTube, Reece Fit, click on it. If you're watching this on Spotify, listen to it on Spotify, Reece Fit. Yeah, we filmed legs, and then we're going to be also filming legs on Tuesday at, again, the #Mecca. So it's basically, we're doing the same video, but it'll be Finn's iteration. So we have enhanced leg day.
Which was natty
leg day.
Really weak.
Where the session is the exact same. And you know what? I actually
like this, slightly different.
I got a question. Wait for it. I got a question regarding the differences between like training, like within someone who's natural and enhanced. And
that'd be good for a very short clip.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea, would it? So yeah, we'll go into that in like the latter part of this.
Always thinking about content.
Yeah, wait for it, guys. Just, or you can maybe use the timestamps and skip ahead if you want, but don't.
Yeah, if Sam's done the timestamps, more work for Sam.
Yeah,
poor Sam.
Yeah, but all other than that, like everything's been pretty sound this week. Like for me, like I said, training's good, feel good. The deload, like I said, was planned. If it was down to me personally, I probably would have pushed on for another week or two. Like I still feel really good in the gym.
It's not down to you personally. Has your coach told you to deload?
No, more so I told myself, like I at the start of the prep, I wrote rules of things to follow. I did the same last time, where like I have like a note section on my sheets, and it's like, if rate of loss exceeds this, do not make changes. And I like just wrote myself a few rules so I like can look at them and go, right, don't be an idiot, because you can get a bit, you can almost sometimes think, no, I'm gonna do this, and you don't really think accurately. So I set myself rules, and it was like, this prep, you are not allowed to move other than like 3 days before or behind. And I was like, okay, cool, I'm sticking to it. As I said, this deload in the prep. So yeah, so pretty much I just listened to my coach, aka me, and it kind of makes sense with how things are. But yeah, other than that, training's good, life's good. I think that's pretty much everything, to be fair, mate.
I think in regards, because we were speaking about it, the structuring of deloads.
Yeah.
Like, obviously we spoke about, we're not really a huge fan of it, which I think, like, I just don't think it makes sense really in most settings. Like, even in I was going to say in an off-season setting, but even in a diet setting, like, unless it's a contest prep, I don't think it really makes sense. I like it within a contest prep because, especially with clients, you can outline, this is when we're going to be looking at deloading, this is when we're going to be looking at diet breaking as well. So basically having a period of time where we can drop off some fatigue from training and also drop off some fatigue from the diet. You can gather some data, like refeed data for the peak as well. But I think like doing that in a gaining phase, I get why people do it.
You don't believe in diet breaks and gaining phases? I can't eat my food for one.
I have an appetite reset. I do get why people do it, because people like structure. And I have some clients who say, can we not have structured deloads? I'd prefer to do it. And I say, yeah, cool, we can do that. It's really not a problem. If anything, like you can't go too wrong with it. If, let's say, you know the client quite well, you know how hard they train, you know their recovery capabilities, maybe you run them for 6 weeks or 8 weeks, like probably it's going to be either of those two. You can't really go too wrong. Like, if you don't exceed that, they're probably not going to get overreached and feel overly trashed. But where you can go wrong, and this happens a lot, is what do you do in week 2 when you get ill, or when you get injured, or when week 6 comes around and you feel incredible because week 2 and week 3 you were injured. Like, and it's just that's the only thing that I find difficult to manage.
Life's rarely ever perfect.
Yeah, like things happen. Like you can control everything.
Festive periods,
stuff like that. I think the best thing to do really is try and plan your deloads around holidays and festive periods. I always say to my clients, like, right, you probably need a deload soon. Have you got anything coming up that you want to take some days off for?
And go, oh yeah, I'm going away
or they'll say not really, and I'll go, right, plan something in there. Yeah. Like go for a weekend away if you want with your partner or whatever it may be. Like, I think people, like, I wouldn't want it to be where every, let's say, 6 weeks I have to deload. I'd always plan stuff around it, so it'd probably work out pretty fine. Yeah. But I just wouldn't really get on with that. You know, how many times have you got like to week 5, week 6 in a meso and been like, I'm really firing now. Like, I feel a bit, probably by week 9 or week 10 for us.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes earlier we feel pretty trashed.
Yeah.
Like I'm week 9 now, but again, this is a perfect example. I'm in week 9 of a meso now. I would have taken a deload probably this week or last week because I feel pretty trashed. My joints are a bit sore. My right elbow's really sore. My right pec/delt is sore. I feel a bit more lethargic. I'm yawning a bit more in the day and in the sessions. Like, I need to take a deload, but I go on holiday next week. So why on earth would I take a deload now and then go, oh shit, now I'm in Morocco and I've got to train out of a relatively poor hotel gym, like where my training is not going to be the same level. And also, it's nice to just be able to not worry about training on holiday. Like, why would I take a deload before? So again, that's sort of what I think. And ultimately, I know that people are relatively flexible with it, and you can go, oh, we'll just move it back a week, move it forward a week. So I do get that, but I think in a prep, it works out really well because people can have almost like a timeline and break it down and go, right, by here, we're aiming to pull off X amount. This might be your first, like for you, the first big stint of fat loss, really. 13 kilos, that's your big stint of fat loss, all done. Cool, deload. Not really diet break, but obviously you're probably, like you say, you'll lose more, but you're going to be dropping off a decent amount of fatigue over this next, few days. Yeah. But you could have a diet break. We said, like, you don't...
It's one of them. Like, we actually spoke about this, and, like, this is probably another little segue onto, like, diet breaks and, like, the benefit of them. But, again, it really depends on the situation. Like, for where I'm at currently, there definitely could be some benefit, but it's not essential. Like, my training performance isn't suffering. I'm not feeling, let's say, like, my sleep quality where I'm just really battered. I'm feeling horrendous. My joints are battered. Like, my performance is mostly going to be performance orientated, where, like, I'm just suffering. And at this point, like, training's really good. And my rate of loss it has been pretty aggressive out the gate, but I feel still pretty good. So it's like, well, I'll see how the next, let's say, 4 days go when it comes to fatigue, dropping that off. And if anything, I'm looking at it as a way I can leverage potentially a bit of fatigue drop off and also body fat, like, let's say, to pull off. And then if anything, if that puts me ahead, because I probably am a fair bit ahead of where I need to be relative, my back isn't. Let me just say that. But I'm definitely ahead of where I need to be at this point. And I almost think, well, at the end of the day, like, getting leaner earlier isn't probably going to be a bad idea. So if anything, like, there will definitely be, I don't think diet breaks for me personally, especially considering how things are most likely to be. I say diet break, like whatever you want to class a diet break. It's like, I'll have probably back-to-back refeed days. And that will probably be maybe implemented within the next, let's say, if I'm 9 weeks out this weekend, it might be in the next 3 weeks. It might be where I'm 6 weeks out and I go, right, cool, I'm going to have 2 days worth of 600 grams of carbs and just see how my physique responds, see how training is, see how I feel in general. And if anything, that'll be a way that I can still be in the gym, but I can leverage some fatigue drop off and also some performance accrual in a positive sort of standpoint through the implementation of a few days worth of higher carbs. Now, in this position, I could probably say, you know what I could do is I could do maybe just, instead of doing rest day cardio, I could just do maybe baseline cardio. I could do maybe a little bit less. I could potentially push my calories up to in between training and non-training days, and I could have that as a bit of a diet break, because a diet break is not going to be a surplus calories. It's just going to be ideally maintenance point, maintain body weight. But at the same time, with where things are, for me, I think it really depends. But again, I think if you were to say to me, no, bro, diet break, it would be like, okay, maybe. But then I've also only been dieting for 7 weeks. Yeah. So is the duration, needed?
I think a diet break is beneficial when you're sort of, and the thing is you are on track, but when you're almost like right on track or you're even ahead, and if the diet's quite long as well, like you're not idle, that's what I mean. You don't really need one.
I think it's duration. I said 7 weeks into a diet.
If you were doing, let's say, like a 30-week prep or even a 20 to 26-week prep, you're probably going to look at maybe 1 to 2 diet breaks along the way, maybe one after a first big stint, and then maybe one after like maybe a slightly longer stint but a slower stint. But again, like that first one, if you're behind, you're not having it.
No.
Like, as simple as that. Like, obviously you're not behind, but I know you said to me the other day, like, oh, maybe I should have, should I have a refeed? And I know you weren't like, I'd get a refeed, but it was like, you could, but it's like, you don't need to. Like, you look good, your training's going well.
I only said that in the sense of if body weight was to drop off. Like I said, I was like, I'll potentially throw a refeed in if body weight is still, because it's been floating between it was 3 kilos a week for 3 weeks, and I was like, okay, 9 kilos down, it's quite a lot. And then it dropped off to a kilo, and I was like, right, I want to add a little bit higher. But if I make a change and my body weight's been really responsive, and if I make a change and that goes back up to 3 kilos, and I'm 101, 102 kilos, where I'll probably be very high 90s / probably 100 kilos, maybe 101 on stage, there's going to be that's not going to be beneficial at, let's say, 8 weeks out. To only be able to be like, I need to pull off 3 or 4 pounds. So that would be when a refeed or a diet break would be needed, just to kind of bump up and boost things up. But again, that's going to be probably warranted off training and how you feel. So if anything, and again, you don't know till you get to that point. But yeah, I do agree. I definitely think the duration of phase, and then also a balancing act of how things are going to be in general when it comes to calories, fatigue, training, and all that sort of stuff. And you can only really, and this is the thing, you can plan it, but you have to still be responsive. You still have to go off the feel. And as Finn said, if you're behind, no matter what you've planned, if you've got to pull off body fat, you've got to pull off body fat. Times not last year, the year before for me, my first prep, we spoke about this before, but it was very much a case where I actually looked through my log. I haven't spoken about this. I looked through my log a couple of days back, and I said to Sanaa was around, and I was like, this was a really well handled prep up until about 7 weeks out. And it was because I looked through everything, 22 weeks, and I was looking through all the decisions I made, because I had everything drafted up, and everything was really, really good. And I was like, okay, maybe I could have been a bit more aggressive here. There was a bit where I stayed 103, 104 kilos for 4 weeks, but I was getting better. I have photos of that.
Yeah, but that was the issue.
Yeah, no.
That was the time where you should have been more aggressive.
But it was more so my front was getting a little bit more conditioned, a little bit more conditioned, a little bit more conditioned. And I remember getting to 7 weeks out, and it was mate, from that point, it was hilarious. Every 3 days, it was food drop, trade day, food drop, non-trade day, cardio up, steps ups, climb ups. It was literally just hell for leather. What can we change to increase rate of loss? And I think I went from 101 kilos. I was 101 kilos 1st of August, and I think by September 15th, I was 92. So I'd pulled off 8 kilos, 9 kilos within 5 weeks.
Just needed to do that 2 months earlier.
Yeah, and the thing is because it was very challenging to assess from a composition perspective from my front. My front, I'd be okay, cool. And in the back of my head, we both were the back will eventually get in. The front sound, so the back will eventually get in. And then another 2 kilos come off, and it's the back will eventually get in. And then another kilo comes off, and it's maybe the back won't come. Maybe the back's not going to come in. Yeah, and I remember again we spoke about this before on the podcast where we were in warehouse, changing room, and I was going through some poses. The locker room. We were in warehouse, the changing room, and I remember
back in the locker room,
and I did some posing, and Finn just looks at me and he's like, you have to push pretty hard. And I was like, I know, because my front was sound, but we weren't even looking at my front. It was turn around, let's have a look. And you grabbed me and you were like, yeah, where's your food at? And you were and I told him, Phil was you go drop it. I'm like,
I was like, yeah, there's a bit of room.
Yeah, there's a bit of room. We were both like, okay, let's go do more. And we were like, right, 2 kilos or 1.5 kilos a week. And it wasn't.
Planned it. We did just plan it out.
Yeah, and then by like 2 weeks out, I was ready. I was fine.
That's what we spoke about before, though. Is like
I embraced it, and I was like, right, let's go.
And for other people, you do that, and they go, but, and it's like there is no but. Like, do you want to be in shape or not? Do you want to be the best you can be? Do you want to win or not? Like, that's the only real but. Like, there isn't a excuse or a question, or like ultimately you do what you've got to do, and like obviously within reason of being healthy, like especially me being natural and being so healthy. But
mate, you told me to take like 10 clubs. 10 clubs of 10 Trent, Clen, bro. So you told me to say like, how much Clen have you got? I just take the whole pack, or take it all. And I was like, okay, what about thyroid, T3? And you were like, honestly, bro, just as much as you can afford. As much as you can afford. I was like, okay, sound, I got you.
But no, I think we've said it before. Like, you'll say to a client, we're going to take away 50 carbs, or we're going to take away a bagel, and they'll message you back and like, and I'm gutted about that. It's like, fair enough. Like, they're just obviously food focused, and they want the food. But like we've said, we're always like,
so I like it.
Let's crack on.
I wake up excited. Like,
I remember, whenever AJ would make a change, I was never going. Like, I don't remember ever thinking.
No,
I remember thinking, mint. Like, I'm gonna get leaner.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever thought. No. What about food? Even when he was giving me a refeed, I don't remember. I probably did, but I don't remember ever being like, amazing. Yeah. I just remember being like, cool, a refeed.
I remember AJ saying about a burger, a few weeks to like see how you would look.
Yeah.
Like, this was
pretty sure I said,
no. And you were like, I don't really want a burger. Like, I'd prefer just to have more of my food if I'm out. Like, I don't really fancy that. And like, it's going to throw my digestion off. Most people, mate, you want a burger. Right. 2-3 weeks out, they're going to be like, oh my God, yeah, bro, I really need that burger.
To be fair, that is something that I'm not saying you should do that, because I don't think it is a good idea. But I do think that's something that we're a little bit too anal about, and that we could be more relaxed about. Like, when Josh came on the podcast and he was like, I went to Wagamama's the night before a show and it's the best I ever looked. I wish that I could be like that. And I think in the future I probably could.
Yes,
I've competed a lot of times.
I reckon we'll probably ease up, because I would listen to a podcast when I was away last week in Somerset, and I think it was Guy Consistentino, and he was saying like in the build up to one of his shows, every night for the week he like went to sushi with Jay Cutler, and he'd be looking better and better, and his coach was like, wow, this is good. And I like think to myself, these guys are like Olympia level or like Arnold level, and like you would never catch me in a sushi place, even if I had refeeds at a sushi place in the peak week of a show. I'd just be like, I'll just have more food of what I know I can digest. I remember, mate, last year and the year before, how anal were we about like cereal and the build up? You were like, have you checked the fibre in that cereal? And I was like, oh yeah, I haven't even checked. So I made sure the fibre content was the same, because I was like, yeah. And that was pretty much in the build up to, I think it was one of the shows. It might have been the finals. And it was where like, I was literally I like titrated my carbs up every day. And it got to like, I was having 6 meals of like 700-800 carb. And it was like, so much 6 meals, 700 carbs. 700 carbs 6 times a day. God, I was so full. No, 6 meals split, 6 to 7, 800 carbs split up between 6 meals. And I was having cereal.
200 carbs today, bro.
Yeah, that's 200 carbs. So I was having cereal because it was easy for like 1 or 2 of my meals. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll get like the Special K oats and honey. I really like that in my off season. Like, I knew it digested well in my off season. But the fibre content, because I was only having like Frosties post-workout, I was having like a poverty amount of Frosties. The fibre content was different, and Finn was like, oh yeah, look at the fibre. And like that is cereal. It would have digested relatively fine.
It would have been absolutely fine, but I think you almost want to have the mindset of like no stones unturned.
100%.
Imagine if you'd have had that, or had something that you maybe not had before, and your stomach fell off, and then you were a bit ill for.
I was trying to have pasta in the whole peak week. I was like, oh yeah, I just doubled up my pasta.
Oh, I'm on a refeed. Oh, double my carbs. Okay, I'll just double my pasta for every meal. But yeah, like, I think it's you got to weigh it up. It's the pros versus the cons. Is it really worth the risk? Like, not really, is it? Like, if you know for a fact that Frosties are digesting well, bagels are digesting well, cream of rice, just have more of those. Don't risk changing something, especially close to the show. Like, that was pretty close to the show as well. It wasn't like, what was it?
It was like, it was like the last like 4 or 5 days.
It was in build. It wasn't like a day out when it was close. But you could have easily like. Not maybe got ill, but you never know. It depends. Like, some people.
Well, mate, no. When you're
go out for a different.
When you're lean and you're that lean, you can have just one bit of different food and it can throw your stomach off completely. Like, it can massively, massively affect you. Like, I remember the day after, I was really moderate, but I had a burrito for lunch. And, like, there was spices of that burrito. When we went for lunch,
You went after. We went to tortilla in the day, and I was like, go to tortilla.
Yeah. And I had a tortilla, and, like, my stomach was, like, not extended, but I could just tell it wasn't sat. Like, well, normally, like, if we're
that feeling of being bloated for months.
No. And it was like, it was really strange because, like, for example, I wasn't bloated, but if I'd stepped on stage, you would have gone, what's up with your midsection? Like, it would have just been a little bit more, not inflamed, but it just wouldn't have been as tight. And again, that's what happens just probably from the spices and the actual digestive stress that different foods can play. So again, like for Josh, he can go away, have a meal, and it'll be like, oh yeah, it's an enjoyable, nice meal. Well, I think we're a little bit anal regarding that, but it's something we'll probably ease up upon. Like, I think it's one of them, you know.
I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that if you know for a fact as well. Like, but again, the thing is that I don't know. I just wouldn't want to risk it.
Yeah.
But each their own. And obviously, Josh, like I say, he knows what he's doing. He's competed loads of times.
Yeah.
He looks very good. I do think it is more so the psychology of it. Like, we would be absolutely fine. 99% of the time, everybody would be absolutely fine. But it just is that kind of like, there's that extra bit of a risk there.
Yeah.
Where if you didn't do it, it is that kind of no stones unturned. I know I've done everything that I needed to do as sort of well as I possibly could.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a little bit. Should we quickly, just because I don't think we mentioned it, did we go through the actual difference between a diet break and a refeed?
Well, you can go through it if you want, mate. So,
or have we got a question similar to that?
I don't know, but we could speak about it. This could almost be a separate part because we've actually spoke about this quite well. So yeah. So, mate, what is a refeed?
I don't know. Do you know?
I think
Thought you'd know that.
Refeed. More food.
Yeah, just double up your food.
Yeah, double up your food. Do the Tom Hames double up protocol.
So not just eat everything.
No, it's double up everything, but not
double up everything.
Yeah, double up everything. Everything you're doing, double it up. But no, right, refeed, pretty simple.
I do know, really, guys. Yeah, can I explain?
Do you want to explain?
Yeah, I can explain.
Yeah, but whatever. Yeah, sure. So refeed and diet break. Let's just wrap it through simply.
Wrap it.
If we're
we can make this a reel.
Yeah, no, let's just do that, and we can say to Sam, make this a reel. This feel like should be a good reel. So refeed, mate. Let's go through it. What's a refeed?
So generally, a refeed, how I would prefer to do it would be 2 days back to back. You could.
Where would you place them? 1 day. Where would you place them, mate? Would you place them on weak body part days?
I would generally place them before.
What, on a rest day, potentially?
Potentially on a rest day. Let's say you have like a leg day the following day.
I quite like an approach. I've had it with a fair few clients. I had it with Comran. I ran this with Comran. So I had like refeed, rest day, then training day, refeed. So it was like 2 days back to back. First one was on a rest day, and that's just to soak up the food. And then the other one, the following day, was a training day.
Soak up.
And that was to kind of, keep the say, glycogen stores topped up while he's training.
Soak up.
Yeah, soak them up. And then also, if we think about how we program usually, it won't just be one individual session. So there'll probably be a session the following day and then maybe the day after where they go back to baseline food, but they're still riding off the benefit of the 2 days worth of higher kind of glycogen load.
Yeah, I would generally do 2 days back to back prior to your weaker areas. So exactly like we said, let's say you're doing like a legs push pull kind of split. Legs push pull, rest, lower upper rest. If you had them on, let's say you start on a Monday, if you had a Sunday and a Monday, then you've got a good amount of food on that rest day, and it can often be quite enjoyable as well. Yeah. And then on the Monday as well, you've got a good amount of food, and that's going to then carry over through those other days. And the thing is as well, like, it does carry on for almost like the majority of the week.
I find this something like the amount of times I'll give a client a refeed.
They think that they've used
like 1 day's worth of training or just 1 day of living.
That refeed.
Yeah, it's like, carbohydrates will last. Like, you're going to get a positive uptake in performance, cardio, stress, like cardio ability. You're going to have stress drop off, not only on that day, but like the following day and probably the day after. It really depends on how hard you train, how much glycogen you actually loaded through, let's say, carbohydrates. And all that sort of stuff, and the general demands and where fatigue's at. But yeah, you can, let's say if you have a refeed Monday, Tuesday, you're probably going to get a benefit still back end of the week, like come Friday, unless you are absolutely skinned and you just burn through it. But even then, I doubt it. Yeah, you still are. You're still going to get some benefit, even just from the stress drop off alone.
Unless you know a lot of muscle. But
yeah.
But yeah, no chance that Sam's making this into a real
question. Right. So train day, non-train day. Would you have a variant? So non-train day. Let's say refeed, so you're having back-to-back days. First training day, for rest day than a non.
Or would I have them different? Others?
Yeah, like, would you go for a different approach? Because I would personally say, obviously, I'd want to prioritize the workout window on the training day, so more carbs pre and post, and then on a rest day, I'd probably maybe keep the same first meal, maybe same last meal, but maybe you could kind of push that up, maybe have slightly higher fats, so soak it up to an even greater extent.
I would probably, just to make it simple for the client, I would have them on the same macros, but instead of having, because obviously your pre and your post and even an intra is going to be quite high carb, so I would, instead of having that amount of food in a small window where you're not training, which would feel pretty awful if you're having like 500 carbs in the space of 6 hours without training in between.
Imagine 2 meals, but like 250 carb each.
Just that in between.
Yeah.
No movement. But I'd probably, on the rest day, I would say spread the carbs out and backload them as well. So like, let's say you had a 600 gram carb refeed day. If it was a training day, I might have them have 200 pre, 200 post, 50 intra, and then they've got 50 through the rest of the day, which might sound mental to most people, but towards the end of a prep, like, your only carb meals are your pre and your post.
Yeah.
And sometimes even then it's like they're quite low, like if that's where you need to get to. So if you were to go and massively increase those and still have relatively low carb throughout the rest of the day, like, your performance is going to go through the roof just from having 200 carbs in your pre rather than 80 or 50 or whatever it may be. But then on a rest day, let's say you've got 600 carbs, I'd probably say, again, have your normal meal 1, which is probably going to be 0 carb, and then maybe have, instead of meal 2 and meal 3 being 0 carb on a rest day, and maybe, let's say you're on 150, 200 carb on a rest day, and you backload it into meal 2 and into the final 2 meals, maybe load it across 4 meals, but still backload it. So you might have 100 in meal 2, 100 in meal 3, and then 200 in meal 4, 200 in meal 5, something like that, as long as digestion's okay. But I think as well, I wouldn't even really overcomplicate that too much. And I think as well, a lot of the time I would have clients on back-to-back refeed days on training days as well. I think it works nicely with a rest day. But yeah, this kind of conversation just shows how diverse it can be. Like, there is no refeed. It means it has to be exactly 2 days, and we have covered it in 2 days, but it could be more. I wouldn't really do less. I would just generally say that's a high day, which we could include into this topic. But yeah, you could have 3 days. You could have 4 days, but then it just comes to like, okay, you're just having high days now. But yeah, like, I think you could push it to 3 days,
mate. 4 days. Could you say I'm carb cycling now?
Yeah, if you go to 7 days.
Sly last prep, she goes, Reece, what's carb cycling? All of Dan Welburn, all of Dan Welburn's clients carb cycling. No. And I said to her, what's your carbs on training day? And she told me, and I was like, what's your carbs on training day? And she told me, I was like, you're carb cycling. She was like, but yeah, okay, fair enough. And I remember saying, like, the only difference would be maybe you'd have a third, like, approach. You'd have, like, training day lower. You'd have a bit more. You'd have training day push more.
Well, we've had it loads of times where you'll have like a low day, a moderate day, and a high day. Yeah. And like, often your low days will be your rest days, and maybe your less demanding training days. Yeah. For some clients, they might have like let's say a push and arm day. And if their push and arms are quite a strong body part, you might have them on relatively low food on that day. Yeah. And then their moderate days might be, let's say, their pull days, but then their legs are really weak, so they might be their higher days. Yeah. And that's not even a refeed approach or a diet break approach or anything like that. Just might be how the days look towards the end of a prep. Yeah. Okay, we still need to pull off body fat, and we still need to keep performance as high as possible through your weak areas so that they don't flatten out too much and you don't lose performance too much. That's kind of the approach that we'd use. But yeah, like, I mean, we could talk about this all day long. Like, it's hard to put it into like a 5-10 minute clip of like, this is what you should do on a refeed. There is no like,
right, refeeds, let's tick it off, that's fine, right.
There's no, this is exactly what you should do. Diet break, I would say, is a week or 2 weeks of a very similar kind of thing. But
I'd say a minimum of 5 days, but I'd argue as well, like, you could do a diet break of like 4 days, but like,
it's not going to drop off.
Yeah, I'd say around a week would be sound. I think 2 weeks, again, it's really depending on how long the prep's going to be. Like, a 2 weeks. Yeah, and I'd argue in that 2 weeks, like, you could actually be, in a sense, diet breaking, but you could actually be in a very, very slight deficit where you just slow down the rate of loss.
For clients who have a lot of fat to lose, so forget contest prep, but for like overweight clients, I'll have like multiple 2 to 4 weeks of a diet break at times. Yeah. So let's say it's a client who's got like legitimately, okay, we need to try and pull off like 100 to 150 pounds, maybe more potentially. Then there's no chance you're going to do that in one go. You might break it into stints of 30 to 50 pounds. You know, the first stint will be a lot easier than the second, and the second will be easier than the third, and so on and so forth. But generally, then I'll say like, right, 2 weeks we're gonna have a diet break here. If it's around their birthday or even around Christmas, like, oh, fine. So I'll say, right, we're gonna have a diet break around Christmas. That doesn't mean eat everything in sight over Christmas, but it means like it gives you a bit.
The World Cup, the World Cup in December and Christmas. It was just everyone was just like, oh, that's it, diet out the window. And come back, check in 1st of January, and they're like 18 kilos up. And you're like, yeah, sick, bro.
Don't even know why.
I don't even know why. I stuck on plan.
Actually, mate, I mean, I didn't track anything, but I don't know why I put on that much weight. Yeah, it's weird.
It's strange, really strange. I mean, yeah.
But yeah, diet break would generally be, let's say, like a week. And also, over that week, like Reece said, like you would probably pull up to maintenance. You wouldn't really go into a surplus. No. The goal isn't to reach like peak fullness. No. Whereas with a refeed, like that's not necessarily the goal, but you're trying to assess how you look when you're fuller and assess your carbohydrate sort of tolerance. So you can be like, okay, what can we use when it comes to a peak week? Yeah. So you would generally push food a little bit harder in a refeed because it's a shorter period of time. And you're looking for a fuller look, and ultimately as well, you are probably looking to gain a little bit of body weight over a refeed. You won't always, actually, often you don't, because you drop off a huge amount of fatigue and you feel so much better and your performance is so much better that you actually lose weight over a refeed. You actually notice that quite a lot.
And also, you'll probably move a bit more as well.
Yeah,
that's one thing. Like
the more that you put in, the more that you spend.
Yeah, like you would just literally, you probably getting up out of a chair, you'll have a little bit more of a spring in your step.
Oh, it's like I remember when I started having my refeeds. It's like you do have more about you. You're training better.
100%.
You're happier to go on your
do your cardio, and you're like, I remember when I was like in my teens, and I used to be like, you know what we used to do diet wise, where it'd be like no food and you have like an off plan meal, and the following day doing my cardio, I'd be like, oh my god, I feel like a new man. Like my legs feel so fresh.
Like
it feels good.
How you interact with people. Yeah. Like obviously, I think for us, especially, I know that we were both like at times in the prep, we were both very like monotone, but I guarantee if we were to look back and go assess it, if we were to watch ourselves and see how we looked after 4 weeks of digging with no refeed versus after a refeed, even though we probably didn't at the time realise we were a little bit more outgoing and we actually had a bit more about us, I guarantee we did. Like, I remember for a fact that I was more myself with Shannon when I'd had more food.
100%.
Like,
100%.
But that, what people don't realise is that's why you're losing weight over the refeed.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, I ate more and I lost weight. And yeah, because you're expending more and you've dropped a huge amount of fatigue because, you know, when you have, let's say, for weeks and weeks on end, across an entire week, you maybe have 1,000 carbs and then you have it in 2 days, your body's like, oh, like almost like thank fuck for that, thank God for that. Can you say God? Thank Jesus Christ for that?
Yeah, thank Jesus of Nazareth.
Can you say that?
No, I don't know. Thank some I was going to say someone made up. Should not say that. Should not say that. No, Jesus of Nazareth. I don't know if that's made up. Jesus is real. Jesus is real. God is real. Whoever God and whatever God you enjoy in life.
To be fair, each their own. We are both atheist.
No, I'm a theist. That means, you know what that means? An atheist.
A theist atheist.
Yeah, atheist. That's actually a term. I remember I listened to it on a podcast. Basically, it's you're an atheist because you don't know that there is something there, but you actually think there is something. So I do believe there is something higher than us, but I don't know what it is. So I don't believe in anything. Does that make sense?
Do you believe...
I'm not like...
Do you believe after this is like an afterlife?
I think there's more to it, but I think we die and we're just in a like, we just in the floor on the ground or the buried.
I don't know. I hope that's not the case.
Yeah, because you're scared. Yeah, but
mad.
Yeah. That means, mate, you better start living now, brother.
I am living now. Look at me, I'm doing a pod.
Let's start living now, brother.
You know, when I brutally watched my granddad die, it wasn't brutal, he was just dying.
Really? I don't know about this.
It wasn't brutal, I just said it wasn't brutal, I was joking. Sorry, this isn't something to joke about. So basically, it was my granddad was old and he died. And we were all there to see him die, which was really nice. Doesn't sound nice, but it was.
It's really nice to watch my granddad.
No, but it is, honestly, mate, it's weird.
Yeah, we were like, my mum saw my grandma die, and I wasn't there, and she said it was really peaceful. Like, it was almost like, this is the end of, like,
it's weird.
Yeah,
but like,
very odd.
Because he was like clinging on so long, and there was nothing there. He was just like, you talked to him, he did.
Yeah, the rest is the same. Yeah, my grandpa was the same.
It's like, you're almost like, just die already. Like, honestly, mate.
Just go.
It's so weird. Mate, but his wife, so my grandma, is literally going, honestly, just die. It's okay. Like, weird. She's like, just go. It's fine. We're all here. Like, it's quite sad. Sorry to anyone listening who's maybe gone through something similar. But obviously I was like quite young. I think I was about 16. But when he died, like, it was literally like you saw his soul. come out of his body.
Yeah.
And it's like that. Where does that go? Like, because it was literally like he's still alive, and he was hardly even breathing. It wasn't like, oh, he's alive because he's moving. He was barely even moving. But when he died, you knew, and it wasn't even like, like the people say the last breath, like really loud, and it's like, I think it's like it cracks or croaky or whatever. I don't really know. It wasn't even like that. It was just like you saw like something get pulled out of him. It was like, and then it was it. It's literally like you saw something. It was really weird.
But I think it's been shown that like that energy, you can't like that energy that is present. Remains. So like I don't know if I've said this on the podcast before, but like I've told you about when I looked over at the boxes on the day that I was leaving for uni, and I saw like someone naked, like the same size as my grandma, picking up a box. I thought it was my mum, and I was like, oh, it's not. Again, I'm not going to go into context there because it's probably hard to explain in a short clip. But yeah, I think there's definitely some things out there. Anyway, wait, how the hell have we managed to get on this? Rolling back. So we covered refeeds. We touched upon, well, we didn't touch upon high days.
We can, but we can go through it.
Like, high days are very similar in the sense of a refeed. They can be back to back, but that would probably be a refeed. Might just be one day. High days, you could potentially look at, let's say, just days that are suffering from performance, and you could probably split them up. So let's say you've got a men's physique athlete and he's training push twice. You could literally say, right, you're doing push Friday, push Monday. High days and
put him on those days or the day before.
You could do it the day before. You could do it on the day. I personally think, especially when it comes to like glycogen, if you have like 200 grams of carbs pre-workout, you might train a bit better. But those carbs aren't going to be readily available just for that session. They're not going to be taken in such a quick.
The day to time generally makes sense.
Yeah.
The thing is as well, psychologically, if you have them the day before, you're kind of having them for 2 days.
Yeah.
Like obviously we kind of said it earlier, but
and you'll be eager. You'll be like, I can't wait to train.
Yeah. If you have them on the day of a weaker body part day, let's say, you're then thinking, oh, cool, I'm having them for this weaker body part day. Or even if you have them for a stronger body part day, we think the same thing. And again, it's just a nicer day because it's more food. But then physiologically, you get the benefit more so on the next day. Yeah. Psychologically, you get the benefit more so on the day.
Yeah, it's like the benefit of like in an off season, like having an off-plan meal the day before like a big training session. Like usually
every Friday.
Yeah, no, but genuinely, like usually, I actually have this in for plenty of clients where I'll say, right, off-plan meal. You can have it whatever day you want, but I was like, if something pops up over the week,
yeah,
cool, go for it. That's fine. Don't worry. However, let's say if it is a men's physique individual and they want to bring up their pushing musculature, cool, let's have it the day before final meal of like a push and arm day. And usually you notice they get a better pump. They train well. They also as well, as long as they're not eating it too close to bed, just that kind of. Again, for most people, they'll be having it maybe instead of 1 or 2 meals, they'll probably eat a little bit earlier. They're not going to have a meal after that, and they get real good sleep quality because they've not ate too late. But they've also had a good meal, they've had a nice, relaxing evening, and therefore, if their sleep quality's up and they've digested the food well, it's probably going to result in training better.
With that is, you can't account for people just going mental.
Yeah, I always say like just don't. I don't know. It's
don't be an idiot.
Is that yeah? I always say to people, like, the nicest way possible, I literally say, just don't be a bellend. Like,
I say don't be an idiot because I'm not rude.
Yeah, my test is just too high. I just can't hold back.
Thinking about belly.
Yeah. God, no, not about that, man. Just too aggressive.
Right.
About belly.
I just aggressive when I think about it. Just don't be an idiot. Like, you know if you're being an idiot.
Yeah.
If you're eating to the point where you feel sick and then you keep eating and then you keep eating, like, that's when you're going to gain 3 kilos and feel awful for 3 days. Like, if you eat decent amount of food, let's say you've got, even if it's somebody who's not got a lot of calories to play with, let's say you've got 2,000 calories to play with and you save 2 or even 3 of your meals and you just switch them to protein servings, so you save maybe 1,000 calories, let's say. Even if you saved 800 calories, you can easily have an off-plan meal.
Yeah,
but you just need to be smart. Like, you can't just go, oh yeah, off-plan meal, that means Domino's, 2 sides, Ben and Jerry's, cookies as well.
No, cookie dealer when you get home.
Yeah, that's what it is as well. That has to be. That's not an off-plan meal. That's
cookie dealer definitely died. But I'm not seeing many people eat them anymore.
It's because it's not show season. Yeah. It's only they're very popular throughout.
When I was in Canada, the dude at the desk of that Pure Muscle and Fitness gym was selling like cookie dealer cookies, and they weren't cookie dealers. Yeah. And he was like, "Yeah, when I prepped last year, I had loads of these." And like he looked at me and I just went, yeah, I bet you did. And he was like, and then like Sanaya was like, you were so rude. I'm like, yeah, because it's like such a generic, like, I had loads of these. It's like, mate, did you actually, did you even enjoy that?
Thorburn, to be fair, like, shout out to Thorburn. He did make me laugh when he said this. We were at the WMBF show and they obviously had the cookie dealer were there.
Yeah.
And
have you ever had one?
No. Somebody was having one. and I said to Thorburn, I said, have you ever had one of them? And he went, no, I've not got a fucking eating disorder. And I was like, yeah, I've never had one either. So yeah, I mean, sorry to anybody who is a cookie dealer lover.
Merchant.
Yeah, there's a lot out there. But to be fair, like, I'm sure they are very nice, and I'm not saying like you can't have them. Like, literally, do whatever you want. But I do find it like it is weird. Surely that is edging on eating disorder. It's like post show, I have to have a cookie.
I think so. No, I think, mate. I think a lot of people like bodybuilding and
bodybuilding does promote.
Yeah, it doesn't. I think it is almost like it literally comes with a prep. Like, you're gonna be, from a physiological standpoint and psychologically, you're gonna be skewed towards eating a lot of food. That's normal. How ghrelin, leptin levels work. Post show, you're gonna be incredibly hungry. But at the same time, you need to maintain that control. And we've said before, like, post show for both of us. Like, I remember both, like, people coming up to us going, "Wow, like, you're still in really good condition. You've held it, like, you haven't blown up." And it's like, well, we have responsibility as coaches, and like, in a sense, not as like influencers, but for public, no, but for like people that people like follow. Imagine if we were the sort of people to like just finish a prep and balloon up by like 30-40 pounds and be like, oh yeah, I didn't handle my post show when I'm dieting after 2 or 3 months. Like, that's not going to be a good look from a business standpoint, and then also it's not going to be good from like a physical standpoint. Like, a lot of people talk about the stress of a prep. Probably what's more stressful is then just eating 10,000 calories back-to-back days, like, and literally just continuing. And genuinely, it's easily.
It is easily.
Yeah,
you have to have self-control. Like I said, that the main thing that actually prevented me from doing that was that it's like I've got a reputation to hold up to. Like,
I almost, for me, just knew I'd been there before. So I already knew.
Yeah. So
no matter what I've ate, whatever I eat, like, you could have put anything in front of me after I finish prep, I'm not going to be satisfied.
That's true, but also I think like if yeah, I mean, you can't really weigh it up. I was going to say, if you were to weigh it up, which like reason did you not overeat more? I do think, like,
I also think I don't like the way I feel. Yeah, I hate the way that my stomach. There is nothing worse. Like, you'll never see me eat like more than maybe once a year anything that's like dessert food or anything like that, based on the fact that I can appreciate, if you were to get in front of me a stack of waffles with white chocolate, Oreos stuff and like that,
like
I would look at that and go, oh my God, that looks amazing. But I'd have one bit, like 10%, and I'd go, wow, that's amazing. And then after that, my stomach's going to feel really messy.
It probably wouldn't. No, if you ate more.
Yeah, and I'm just not going to like the going to bed the following day, how sluggish you feel. And I know how it feels because I've done it before. I was the sort of teen where, like, I'd be literally what you mentioned. I'd have like an off-plan meal and a diet, and I'd literally get a pizza, ice cream, and be like, oh yeah, it fits and stuff like that. Or when I finished diets, like you spoke about when you did your photo shoot prep, and on the drive home, you stopped at, what was it, like 3 different services?
It was, I didn't even do a photo shoot prep. This was when I was like 19 and I was training at Holywell.
Yeah.
And it wasn't for any other reason than just to see how lean I could get. So I'd trained like properly for like maybe a year. And I was like, I was lean anyway when I started the diet. Like, to look at now, if I'd look back at the start of the diet, I'd be like, why on earth are you dieting? Like, you're an idiot. But I was like, oh, I'm just going to see how lean I can get. And they had one of those body performance machines, whatever it's called, BIA machine, where you put your feet on it and you put your hands on the things and it basically tracks you. They're not the most accurate, but it tracks your body fat and your muscle level, etc., your skeletal mass, etc. So I was like tracking that every week, and I was like, I've got to keep seeing it go down. And I think I started at like 12 or something like that, and got it down to like, I think at 3.9. And I was like stupidly lean, but I was very skinny. Like, I didn't have a lot of muscle at all, but I'd over dieted for probably, I don't know, maybe 12 weeks, maybe 16 weeks. I don't know exactly how long it was, but I'd over dieted like pretty stupidly. I was eating pretty much just like chicken and salad for every meal. Because at this point, I didn't even like track my food.
Oh no, mate, I didn't. My nutrition,
just like, I knew what.
I just looked at the quantity it's reduced.
Yeah.
So I'd like look at like my daily food and I'd just kind of do this until I got to the point where it was like non-existent. And my cardio, I'd just be like, I literally would have no plan other than post-workout, do as much as I can until I about go hypo, then stop, then carry on, like get recover, then go again. So I remember like my day's worth of calories was like, I'd have 2 eggs in the morning as an omelette. I'd have like chicken as my second meal. That was it. and then I think I go to the gym like there are no carbs, and then I might when I get back have like rice and chicken, but it'd be like half a pack of rice, and then I'd have like a protein bar. It was honestly like 1,200 calories max.
I don't really remember.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure I didn't track, but I knew it was like, I knew what carbs were.
Yeah.
I knew what foods came with more carbs, things like that. So I was like, right, I'm going to change that to salad or whatever.
Yeah.
But I pretty much, I remember, like, I don't remember exactly, but I feel like I just had chicken and salad for every meal. And I had Nando's sauce, which I still have now.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I remember every morning I'd go to the gym, I'd get up early, I'd go to the gym, I'd do cardio and abs for like an hour every single morning. Like cardio as fast as I could. I'd do like Tabata on the bike, and then I'd do the cross trainer, like just batter myself, and then do abs. And then I'd train later on in the day. And I'd planned, and I remember the date in my head, I'd planned to finish on the 16th of October. I don't know why. I think that was maybe like 4 months or something like that.
The finals, PCA finals, bro.
Yeah. So I'd planned to just finish on the 16th, right?
Yeah.
And it got to like, I think it was like the 12th or maybe the 11th or something. And I just had it in my head. I was like, I'm done. I was like, I've finished. I remember thinking like, if I get below 4%, and I checked, I did it, and I was 3.9. And I was like, what's the point in carrying on for 3 days? I was like, I've already got where I want it to get to. Like, if I carry on for 3 days, I'm literally just doing it because I said the 16th.
Yeah.
So I messaged my mate, because his girlfriend had just started at Loughborough Uni, and he was like staying with her and staying with me at times. So I messaged him. I was like, do you want to get Domino's tonight? Because I'd like been on dieting for so long. I was like, I'll get Domino's, and he was up for it. So I was like, oh, mint. So we got Domino's, but before we got the Domino's, I went to Tesco and I bought a 12-pack of Krispy Kremes, just the original glazed.
So I can imagine this for me. Like, this is you. I'm like 12 bucks. I don't think I've ever done anything like that.
Original glazed, right? And I bought a tub of cookie dough, Ben and Jerry's. And we got the Domino's. I got a large Domino's with 2 sides. I didn't get any cookies or anything from Domino's. I've never had cookies from Domino's. I got large pizza and 2 sides. And the best part of the story is we got it all for free. I feel like I've told this.
You told me this before.
We got it all for free. So I basically said pay when you get there. So I ordered it and chose pay when you get there.
They just gave you.
And my mate went and picked it up, and they didn't ask him for any money. And he was like, so when he came back, he was like, I think we've got it for free. He was like, did you pay for it, or did you say to pay when you get there? I was like, no, I didn't pay for it. So we got it for free. Hopefully no one from Domino's Loughborough is listening. If you are, I'm sorry, we're not paying. So yeah, basically they brought it back, and no word of a lie, like I demolished the large pizza and the sides within probably like 5 minutes. And they were both like, what the fuck? And even I was like, this is weird. Like, I just couldn't control myself because I'd literally deprived myself of food for 16 weeks. It wasn't even like, oh, I'll just gradually reduce it. It was like,
it was like
dieting now, so I'm just eating chicken and salad and that's it. And I'm doing loads of cardio and loads of abs. Like, so I was battered. But yeah, and then I had the donuts and the ice cream within like 10 minutes afterwards. All the 12 with a scoop of ice cream in each, and I kept putting. I was doing like 4.
You're doing a scoop of ice? Oh my!
I was doing four at a time on a plate in the microwave. Scoop of ice cream in each in the microwave, so it all melted a little bit. Bang, 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 bang. Same again. Bang, bang, bang.
Mate, that's ridiculous.
And then I wondered why my stomach was fucked for like days.
What'd you get? Do you reckon? Did you weigh yourself? You wouldn't eat it.
I might have done, but I don't remember. I don't think I would have done. It could have been like
the machine, and it's gone from 3.9 to like 40% body
machine is broken. No,
I'm just getting 36% body fat.
But that being said, I remember like literally. So that was like the back end of the year.
Yeah.
I remember that Christmas being at home, because obviously I went home to see my family for Christmas, like lying on the sofa, and just thinking like my stomach is in so much pain, but I just kept eating.
Yeah,
like,
I went away on holiday, and I've said this before about my Oreos, those white chocolate Oreos. And I honestly, like, I remember, I think, like, my mum came to get us, and we were eating out for dinner. It was all inclusive, and I think we bought, like, I might have gone through, there was a pack of, like, 6 that had 2 each, so it was, like, 12. And there were 200 calories each. So 2,400 calories. And I must have had, literally, probably 2 of those, so 2 boxes, so 4 to 5,000 calories of Oreos. No, honestly, and I was just snacking on through the day. And I had breakfast, and I had lunch, and I went and got pizza afterwards, like for dinner. So I probably ate like 10,000 calories. And I remember, like, it was day 1 of the holiday, and like my mum came to get me before dinner, and she was like, Reece, have you ate all those Oreos? And I was like, yeah, I'm not dieting anymore. And it was like, to me, I was like, I'm not dieting anymore. And then I remember saying to her, like, maybe day 3, I'm just eating these Oreos. I don't even want them. I'm just eating them because I can. And I was like, I'm eating them because I can. And I came back and I was 7 kilos up in a week. Like, so literally a kilo a day. And to be fair, I still trained. I still did cardio. I didn't just completely fall off. So if I didn't, and imagine if I was like,
Yeah, I definitely
it would have been
didn't.
worse. It wasn't like
I still trained and still ate as normal, but it was like any social events.
Yeah. Did you ever have?
There was more food available. I wasn't eating loads like day to day.
Did you ever have any, like when you dieted? Did you ever have like an off plan like meal or like a cheat meal? You said what, you've never cheated on a diet? Because I did once when I was like 17. I've said this before. I had a grenade bar. Like I was like 18, I think. I had a grenade bar and like a small bowl of cereal. And I honestly, I about cried.
Yeah.
I went to, I remember it was my final meal of the day. And I used to have whey, and I think I had like a grenade bar. I had a whey and grenade bar, for some weird combo. And I remember I had like a small, instead of with the whey, I had like a small bowl of Special K, and it probably was like 60 grams. And I had another grenade bar because I was so hungry. And I remember, like, I honestly about cried. Like, I remember going to bed, and I was like,
"You're a failure.
What have I done?" Yeah, like that's the only time. And I remember, like, I woke up the following day, and I had complete bulimia symptoms, because it is bulimia symptoms. I went and did like triple my cardio, and I don't think I ate a carb the following day. But I was like, not punishing myself, but I was like, what the fuck what are you doing? Yeah, but it was not like I wasn't doing it in a negative way. I was so disappointed with myself. And I was like, I genuinely had gone to bed, and I was like, I don't think I slept much, because I was like, what have I done? Why have I done that? But I remember at the time just being like, yeah, this is good. You know, I was just like, you can't stop it. And but yeah, that was the only time.
I think a lot of people experience that.
Yeah.
It's everything in your body's telling you to eat, and mentally sometimes you're not strong enough to say, no, I can't. Like, but no, I've never done that, because I'm elite as a beat.
You just go and finish your diet 3 days early. You couldn't hack 3 days.
Yeah, but I didn't need to. You know what I mean? I'd already finished it. Yeah. It's like doing your show and it being your last show, and then for 3 days suffering for 3 days. Imagine doing that. Like, everyone's going out for a nice meal, and you're like, no, I've got 3 more days.
I woke up the day after prep finished, and I woke up an hour earlier than Sanaya. And I literally was like, I'm going to start my training. I'm going to start my off-season early. No gyms were open. I was annoyed. I was like, if a gym was open, I would have just walked to the gym.
Maybe that's small gym. I think you have that boost in. It's not like a boost, but it's like, like something new. It's not pushing for that show anymore.
No, that's a different sort of goal.
It's like, I want to go and train. And also, you've usually gone out for food, so you feel fuller. You've got energy. Like, you want to go and burn it all off doing cardio now in the morning at Hollywell. Should have gone to Hollywell. Hollywell was open.
It's funny, I listened to a podcast, and it was talking about post-show.
Do you do any work? How many podcasts do you listen to?
Not many, but I've driven a lot, haven't I? I drove back from Somerset. I drove to Somerset. I've got most of it done. So now I drove. So we just put a podcast on for a bit, and we had a 5-hour drive. So we listened to it.
We had one fast.
We had a fight. And again, on the podcast, both about post-show blues. And I was like listening to it, and Sanaya, Guy and Nick, that one. And Sanaya like jumped in and was like, "Oh yeah, like she experienced it."
Shut up! I'm listening to the podcast.
Yeah, I was like, "I'm trying to listen to Guy and Nick." And I kind of was like thinking to myself, I was like, I was so happy and motivated after my shows. Like, I was like really not like content in the sense of like, oh, I'm so happy with the show season. I was like, right, cool, that phase ticked off. Now time to get back.
Mine was weird.
Yeah, like yours was very like muddled. Like it wasn't like
annoying.
Yeah,
because it was like, right, cool, the UKDFBA show's done. I know what I want to improve. I remember the night, I don't know, I posted it on my Instagram. So as soon as I got in from the show, I watched the live stream and I threw up because I looked awful. No, I watched the live stream and I made notes.
Yeah.
Guess what the first note was?
From Relax?
From Relax is on.
Yeah, From Relax was... Mate, for the visual, how were your hands?
No, we don't do that.
You don't need to do... So, From Relax, please, guys.
Basically, the thing is, it wasn't that bad. It's just that everyone else held theirs so much higher.
Yeah.
Like, mine isn't that dissimilar to what it is there.
No.
But it just looks better because I hit it better. But yeah, I made notes. It was like, Front Relax is awful. This needs to be better, like, in terms of posing. I can't remember what else it was. It was like, need to be leaner through here, and here.
Through the quads, through the hamstrings, through the glutes, through the midsection, oblique, chest, biceps.
Like, can be fuller. Of course, it's all the things that you generally would expect, like when you assess a show. But it was like, I did that as soon as I got back.
Could not come up against a freak.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Probably should have got second if I didn't get robbed.
But that's what I did, and I was like, right, cool. So this is what I need to improve for the next 4 weeks. It was 4 weeks until the BMBF, and I was like, I can get a bit leaner. Yep. I was like, my food was pretty high at that point. I was like, I can easily pull off probably another 3 to 5 pounds in the next like 3 weeks, and then fill back up from there. And I think I'll be better. I don't know if I would have been much better, but I think I'd have been a little bit better.
Yeah.
So I was like, I can do that, and I obviously like sending it all to AJ, and he was like, yeah, cool, I agree. Like, I'm happy to do this. but then 4 weeks later, it was.
It wasn't. It was 3.5. It was like the week before. It was like, I remember. It wasn't.
What are you saying, that when they cancelled it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was saying 4 weeks later. It didn't end up being 4 weeks later.
Yeah.
So it was like 3 and a bit weeks, and they were like, oh. No, actually, it was the day before. It was the day before.
No, they moved it earlier. Do you not remember? It was on the weekend, and then it was into peak week, and then they locked us down for Friday or Saturday, and the show was on the Sunday, and they moved it to Wednesday, but then they banned all public stuff from like the Tuesday night. And
I can't remember.
Yeah, no, something like that. I remember, or they tried to move it a couple of days earlier.
I feel like it was.
And it was like, oh no, we're going to.
I feel like it was the Sunday, but they maybe tried to move it to the Saturday.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Yeah,
but basically, it didn't end up happening. So it was like, it was weird. But then they were saying, oh, it'll happen again in 4 weeks, and it was like, well, will it? Like, we don't know. Is it worth dieting for 4 more weeks? When I
it didn't happen, did it?
It did.
Did it really?
Yeah, it happened 4 weeks later.
Oh, okay.
And Keefe competed on his own.
Right. Okay.
I wouldn't have been in the juniors though. I'd have been in the office. But Keefe competed on his own in the juniors.
Yeah.
Obviously it wasn't the busiest of shows. It was a shame, like just how it ended up all being. But I never really experienced that post show I've done now, because it was like, even when I went out for food with Shannon, it was like, it was very like
cloudy.
It wasn't. It was anticlimactic. It was like, oh, I'm done now, but it's a shame that I'm done.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, I'm done and I've had a good time, did my best. And it was like, yeah. So
I woke up for the finals and I was like really happy and positive, because I was like, right, this is the last day. I've had 2 like shots on stage. Let's just enjoy the day.
I get to binge.
Yeah, and I get to just binge on loads of food.
All those Oreos, all of those Oreos.
Stop, my mum pre-bought me. Oh, Reece, look what I've got. I'm like, no, get them away from me. I can't eat them. No, it was. I remember like just waking up and I was like, right, cool. Today's the last day. Let's enjoy it. Like, and I was really present in that day. The shows before I didn't really enjoy it, because I was like there, like, well, I better win. I better do this. This is how it's going to go. Okay, cool. I need this to be perfect. And like the finals, I remember, because the 2 previous shows, we got a hotel, and like that was a stress on its own. Like, going to a hotel, I literally woke up Sunday morning. I was in my own bed. I'd already had my base tan. I went to Nicola's at like 6 a.m. I came back, had a meal, took some photos. I think I FaceTimed you, and I was like, look pretty fucking good. Like, I look really good.
Thing that I would say, just sort of touching on that, like, I think people think you have to go and stay over.
Like, I've had it way more stressful.
Clients have said to me, like, for example, if they're like, maybe they live 40 minutes away or half an hour away, like, oh, I'm thinking of getting a hotel. I literally say, don't save yourself the money. Like, as long as you get up early enough, like, you've really got, like, you're not gonna have an issue. Like,
no.
Even if your tan is early on the day, the second day, like, let's say you're one of the first categories on stage. If your tan's at even like 8 a.m, 9 a.m, as long as you get up, and the thing is as well, throughout prep, you're going to be waking up early anyway. If you get up at, let's say, 6 and you've already sorted everything the day before, you get up, you get ready, you get gone, you're there. Like, you're there for 7:30, 8. Like, it saves you all the hassle of buying bed sheets so you don't stain in the ones at the hotel, staying in the toilet seat at the hotel that you've then got to clean. Like, just stay at home.
Checking in, checking out, carrying your bag.
I would literally say, if it's under 2 hours away, maybe 90 minutes away, I would
for the Maidenheads, for my like first official show, that'll be Maidenheads, like an hour and a half. And I don't think I'm gonna get a hotel. I've just said I was
last one.
Yeah, I'm gonna get Nicola to do my tan the day before. I'll get her to do the tan in the morning. I'll find out what time. So I'll say, just get me in like 6 a.m. I'll wake up at 5, get to hers, get my tan, and then I'll just get, like, let's say either I'll go down with you or I'll go down with my mum, and, you know, like, I'll just get a lift or I'll drive myself. It's not like you can't drive, you know. Can't drive. You can't drive. Too much fatigue, too much mental. I'll be lying back, feet up, even though men's physique. But no, literally, like, and I remember, like, for the finals, it was just such a chilled day. Like, I just went to it, enjoyed the day. I enjoyed the actual process of it. And then when I was done, it was similar. It was like a bittersweet. It was like, oh, well, I'm done now. But it was like, I was really eager and excited for what's to come, you know. And I think that's how it is, where you is like very much like, I couldn't imagine being called up and saying like, yeah, bro, prep's over, like, from the coach or whatever. I find that
it wasn't like that. It was Vicky from BMBF. She was like, oh, like, it is going to happen in 4 weeks. Like, you know, hopefully you carry on. Please do carry on. We'd love it if you would. Obviously, she wants people to compete. And I was like, yeah, thank you. Like, I'll have a think about it.
And you're like, straight to 5 guys.
No, I didn't go to 5 guys. But I do think, like, AJ was basically like, it won't happen, and then it did. So AJ ruined my prep. And to be fair to me, it was like, it made sense. It was like, look, do you really want to push on for another 4 weeks?
Yeah.
It might not happen. Is it worth it? And it was like, yeah, probably not. And like, looking back now, I'd probably if it was a client of mine, I'd probably say the same thing. I'd probably say, especially like
first time prep, you stepped on stage once, you know you need to be better. It wasn't like you were a guaranteed win.
no,
You know, and it like you was literally just getting your feet wet.
get some more muscle, go and grow. Like
Yeah. And like a month of that is like, especially considering you were already in a very long prep, like in the sense of it got pushed back multiple weeks. I think if you were like feeling really, really, really fresh and you were like, no, I want to do it, you would have carried on. It wouldn't have mattered if it was 4 weeks or 8 weeks. You know, Keefe, for example, he was probably seasoned at that point in the sense of probably third prep, maybe fourth prep. So it's different for some. And again, it really depends on the situation. For me, first show, I didn't even talk to you about finals. I was doing the first. I was doing the first timers and the Arnolds. I didn't even know there was a finals qualification until Sanaa was like, oh, you know, if you like finish top 3, you get you do finals. And then obviously I won the overall, and you were like, oh, well, it makes sense to do the finals. But I remember going in thinking, this weekend and next weekend I'm done.
Like, it was only the weekend after.
Yeah, I was like, I literally was thinking like, no, it was 2 weeks after.
Oh,
so it was like, I think it was 3 or 4 weeks from the first show.
Is that when you binged in between?
Yeah, no, I found this again, it depends on the situation. Like, again, Sanaa mentioned her a lot. She struggled in between the shows. I found the show period in between like really, really easy because the work was done. It was basically maintenance. Cardio was at a lesser point. My look was getting better. I was eating more. And like from a psychological standpoint, I was like, okay, cool. Like,
this sort is the same for everyone though.
No, that floating period, I think a lot of people benefit from like, I'm digging or I'm done now. And I quite like just right, cool. I get a bit more food, so I get to train well. I get to train hard, and I feel pretty good as a result of that. So yeah, I feel like we could probably wrap that up. Prep. What we're going to call this part? Like prep chat?
God knows, we'll have a think.
Prep chat. I think that's quite a good.
Prep chat. Should we call it that? Prep chat.
Right.
We're going to call it that, are we?
Sorry.
Just call it prep chat once.
Yeah, prep chat. That's what I'm with.
You're going to do the outro. Spoke about this at the start. I always do the intros. Reece always does the outros.
Yep. Sounds.
Also, if you like Reece's tree,
yeah,
comment I like Reece's tree.
Yeah, 40 pid. God, it's too late, mate.
£40.
Can't do the second part of this. £40 from the range.
Need to get a second one. I think we should probably get the second one.
There was only one tree. There was literally only one version of the tree.
Yeah, we should have got another version of that though.
So yeah, we need a second one
because I think it will look quite good actually.
Yeah, we'll get a second one
from my side.
Yeah, and then we're making a few upgrades to the studio already. So yeah, exciting times. Anyway, that's it. That's the first part of the podcast. We're going to be probably having a bit of a toilet break, and then we're going to be doing the questions. So I'm not too sure, that'll probably be out in a few days from when this is uploaded. So stay tuned.
Friday.
Click subscribe, share. Story tags is always welcomed, and if anything, more welcomed now, based off the fact that we want people to see our setup and we want to drive engagement. Because if the iPad's still on, which it is, we have 0 subscribers currently. So work that up.
It is on 0 because we haven't actually uploaded an episode yet.
Yeah. But yeah, hopefully that's on a few by the time.
Let us know if you like the new logo as well, because we've got it now.
Awesome. Right. Catch you later, guys. Bye-bye.